Hey, it's Derick Gant, the 24K Life podcast, and I am here with the Glam Ma. She calls the Glam Grandma, but I call her Glam Ma. So she is going to hook us up with some information. So the other day, I went out and we were talking, and she was telling me about, how things should really be going down. And she says, you should buy my book. So guess what? I bought her book, Brownies for Breakfast. And when it came into the house, my son said, Dad, you have diabetes? You didn't tell me? I was like, no, I don't have diabetes, but I am going to learn how to eat better from Grandma. He goes, who's Grandma? I says, your new grandma. Don't worry about it. You'll be fine. So I want to introduce her. She is amazing. This is Lynne Bowman. Hi, Miss Lynne.
Hello, honey. And I have to tell you, I forgot to take my phone out of here. So if it rings, we'll just ignore it. Okay.
We'll ignore it. I'm good at ignoring things, so don't worry about it. So you also have Vigo. So if he barks, we have to ignore him too, right?
He doesn't bark much, but he howls. So
Oh,
that could be
goodness.
an interesting side note here.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, now does he howl at night or during the day?
He's too old to howl at night now.
Oh, that takes
But
extra energy, huh?
yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you heard my intro, but I got the goal. Brownies for breakfast. I told you I was going to order it. Man of my word. And you know what? I can't wait for you to tell me why and how we should be eating properly to avoid diabetes if we have it. I think my sister told me the other day that she's pre-diabetic, and so I'm like, okay, you're coming for the holiday, so I got something for you, and I'm gonna learn some stuff over the weekend so that I can help you, because we want to help our loved ones be better. So
We do.
tell me about your journey. Let's start with how you got to writing your first book and how you got to be so smart and intelligent about Brownies for Breakfast.
How much time do we have, Derek? This is a long, and it goes back a long way. And I'll try and make it really, really brief. The reason I'm a writer all my life, really. I've always made my living essentially as a writer, although on my resume, you've seen the bios. I was an actress and I was a TV weather person and I did, screenwriting and I did all this different stuff. But essentially, it's been creative work. Most of it has been writing. And so this is my fourth book that you're waving around, and thank you for that.
You're
Um,
welcome.
but the reason, and what's your sister's name? I want to talk to her.
Her name is Kobe, Kobi, Kobe cheese, Kobe.
Okay, Kobe. Hi, glad to meet you. And we're here for a reason. The reason I wrote the book was because I found out early in my adult life that I was diabetic. And I found out the way a lot of women find out, which is I had gestational diabetes, not uncommon. And then after your pregnancy, it goes away. But what they told me then, and I don't know what they're telling people now so much, but then they said, you are quite likely to develop diabetes in your 40s. Okay.
Really?
Yeah. So, and I don't even remember how they said that would happen, but I just knew because my mother had died when I was 18. So my life was very colored and directed by the fact that I did not want to die and leave my children. I did not want to die young. I wanted to live and be here for my family. And my mom had a chronic disease. She couldn't have done anything about it. It was a kidney disease, but she was ill pretty much the whole time I was growing up. So I experienced up close and very personally what that did to a family and what it does. And one of the reasons you and I are talking, especially, it impoverishes families.
Yeah.
Chronic
Medical
disease.
expenses. Medical expenses can crush a family.
Mhm. And it's something like 85%, and it's changing all the time, of the bankruptcies, personal bankruptcies in this country are because of health-related issues, problems.
Right.
You're seeing
I
it up
do.
close and personal.
Absolutely.
So, because I had that experience so young, a lot of my decisions ended up being around, okay, how do I stay healthy? How do I stay on my feet? I was a single mother of 3 little ones when they were 2, 3, and 4. I was single. And so I always had the issue of making food, feeding them, doing it on a budget, doing it fast, all the things that every family deal with all the time. So I started writing books. I don't know. My first one was in the 90s on PageMaker. I don't know if you remember that, but it was the first desktop publishing program that was pretty good. And
Right.
it was called Cheap and Skinny. And it was kind of about this because a friend said, your food's great. I love eating at your table. This stuff is good. You should write about this. And I thought, okay, yeah, it'll be fun. And I did that. And then I was at the kitchen table, my favorite spot, with another friend in the, what year was it? It was early 2000s, 2010, I think it was. My friend Deidre, and she said, I'm going to Australia, and I have a contract, and I'm with the cosmetic company, Arbonne, I think it was.
Okay.
And I said, you need a book. You need to take a book. And so in 6 weeks, we had done this book called Deidre Hall's Kitchen Close-Up. And so the two of us went to Australia, had a great time, made friends, and the book was successful. And it was when Facebook was just starting. So, there was
Ah.
that element to it, and you had this connection with your audience, which I thought was kind of cool, kind of fun.
Mhm.
No money in it, but it was interesting technology. And then we did another one in 2013, I want to say, that was Deidre Hall's How Does She Do It, which was a beauty book, essentially. But it was also really mostly about how health and beauty are related.
Okay.
Not hard to see a connection there. So, and your question, sir, was, let's see if I can remember, because see, I've gone on and on now. How did you
No.
get here? Why did you end up doing this? Obviously, what happened to me then was in my 40s on this path, I did get diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. And what they
Okay.
told us was, well, lose weight, stay as thin as you can, and don't eat a lot of carbs. And it's progressive, so it's just going to get worse. So don't worry about it. And I went, wait,
That's what
no.
they told you? Don't worry about it?
They said, there's really not a whole lot. Here's what you can do. And then as you get older, it will just progressively get worse. So let me skip to the end of the story where I'm now 77 and I no longer test diabetic much. So it's not a progressive disease if you do what grandma here will tell you to do.
Excellent. I'm
And
all ears.
I'm not the only one doing it. So you can, and now we have data, everybody. We have a ton of data backing up what I'm saying. It's science-based. It's not something I'm making up, although it would be good if I had made it up, but I didn't make it up. So
Can't patent it. It's not yours.
yeah. So the cool thing is you can prevent it, you can
Mhm.
manage it, and you can reverse it, even if you've had it for a while. Now, I don't want you to have it for a while. I want you to
Mhm.
prevent it, first of all, like in your sister's case, Kobe, and you can do that. And then if your numbers are bad, you can also bring those numbers right down if you do what I tell you.
Okay.
And so the reason you want to do that is not so you'll have a good looking chart. It's so that your liver doesn't die and your kidneys
Mm.
don't get destroyed. And so your feeling in your fingers and your toes doesn't stop. And there's a
Right.
whole list of things. And what I like to tell men, particularly who hate going to the doc, right? They will do anything to avoid going and getting an exam. Am I right?
Yes,
Okay.
you are.
And what happens is they don't go until they have erectile dysfunction. And now you've got their attention and they want some help. And so they will go to the doctor. Well, if you had listened to me and eaten and exercised the way we will tell you to, it wouldn't be a problem. You can avoid it. You can prevent it instead of trying to fix it after the fact.
Oh
But
my
if
God, I'm
you've,
all ears.
have I got your attention? Yeah. Okay. And you, especially, it gets worse the longer you avoid doing something about it. After the erectile dysfunction comes losing all the feeling in your legs and then needing to have them amputated because you have sores on your feet that can't be cured. I mean, and another one that you're seeing now everywhere is dialysis, right? You see
Mhm.
dialysis centers. It's a
Right.
multi-billion dollar thing happening, industry happening. Guess why? Diabetes uncontrolled.
Well, I didn't realize that I mean, I thought it was mostly, obviously clearing out your kidneys, but that's from being diabetic and it's messing your kidneys up. And because you do see these centers popping up all over.
Yes. Yes. And they're making book on your diabetes, which
Wow.
you don't need. You can decide not to have. That's another way of putting it. You can simply decide to be healthy in many cases, not all cases, all diseases, but when it comes to diabetes type 2, you can make a decision that you're going to beat it, and then you can beat it.
So you're saying
So,
obviously that a lot of these issues are from the foods that we consume.
absolutely. Yes. Yes. Because you're eating crap. Most of us are eating, first of all, alone, out of a bag
Mhm.
or a box.
Okay.
And what you're eating is not real food. It's food that was designed, engineered by guys in buildings in New Jersey in the craveability industry, which is a real word. And there are books about this, and I refer to them. I don't know if you've looked through, Derek, all the way to the back, but I have a list of books that I highly recommend to people to read. If you don't
Okay.
believe me, read Michael Moss' book called Hooked, and many other good pieces out about this, about the big food, the food industry. And it will make sense to you when you think about it. They are not in business to make you healthy.
Oh no.
They're in business to make money,
Mhm.
their value. And so the more you eat, the more you can't help but eat, the more addicted you are to the Doritos or the, whatever it is that you're eating. Pizza, the most
Right.
addictive prepared food there is. The more of that you eat, the richer they are, the unhealthier you are. And if that isn't enough to get you thinking, um, let's see, what else could we talk about? I mean, yes, you do have a choice. People don't think about it that way. I think they think, well, I'm
Yeah.
sick, I have,
I know through the
you can
course of
fix
my
it.
life, we've taken a look at, the things, especially from a race perspective, and in my profession, I have an insurance license. I don't sell insurance, haven't sold it for 20 years, but I'm licensed. And so when you look at mortality tables, black men are the first ones on the planet that die. So I really took a look at it, and it's from what we eat and the stress levels and all those type of things. And so I remember early, I might have been in my early 20s, like 24, 25. We cut out red meat. So I might have red meat once a month or things like that. And so I never been a sugaraholic. So cutting that out wasn't really tough for me. But for most people, they think that if they cook it, it's good. They think that um, if they don't indulge every day, that it's good. So tell us, how you would suggest people really start to, you know, clean their system out and clean their cabinets out, because of course people are like you craveability. They're hooked on sugar, they're hooked on
Yeah.
carbs, and they're physically craving these things once they start trying to cut them out. Now, I'm not suggesting by any stretch that I'm perfect in my nutrition, because I'm not, but I'm blessed that I started that that journey of eliminating things a long time ago. So I do far less of it than most people. And I'm not technically, I don't think there's anything I'm like hooked on chips or candy or those type of things, or fast foods per se. But I still have my bad habits. So I'm not suggesting I don't have things to learn from you, which is why you're here. So what do you
Well,
suggest, like the average person do?
okay, I'll do that, but I want to know what your bad habits are. That sounds like fun. And I also want to point out how much you know just by looking at someone. We tend to denigrate that, like it doesn't, it's just look at you, your skin, your eyes, your these are our clues that things are going good for you.
Okay, I'll
You're
take it. I didn't
okay.
know that, but yeah. So the
Yeah,
inside's got to be obviously as good, so the outside can be good. My
yeah.
bad habits are time. So maybe when I'm running short on time, I'll grab something, even if it's from like a
That's
Chinese
all.
takeout spot. Okay.
That's
I'm sorry.
all of us. That's
Yeah.
all of us. Time poverty is a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're so spoiled because it can be so fast, and you don't have to clean the kitchen, and so you grab something out, and you don't. They probably use too much sodium. I'm sure they use too much sodium, and God knows what else or whatever products they're using. They're
Sure.
probably not using the best products. So those are my bad habits, to be honest. And I need to go to the grocery store more. I live pretty much the single man's lifestyle, so I don't go to the store too often. So I'll figure out what I can grab on the way home, be it even if it's a restaurant meal, it's still not as good as cooking at home.
No, and that's number one. You have to accept the fact that somebody has to cook something, prepare something, or you will not be healthy. You cannot be healthy eating in restaurants or out of bags and boxes. It's as simple as that. You just can't.
Yeah.
So, and that's right. Very few words, Derick. It's whole food, real food,
Mhm. So
right
what would
there.
what would you consider not so are you when you say real food, I'm just playing devil's advocate because I believe I have a good handle on that. But for our listeners, what isn't real food? I'm not talking about the Doritos. I'm talking about like you saying like fast food, like McDonald's or those type of places. Do you consider that real food? Even though I know it's bad, but what do you? I want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, no. And an easy way to tell, it's harder. I mean, who goes into fast food and really reads, and they have to post them somewhere, but really reads the list of ingredients and stuff? I mean, you don't. You
No.
go in, you're hungry, you smell it, you buy it. It's a but I recommend highs get into the habit right away. Force yourself, and parents, this is especially for you, read the label, all caps, period, period, period. And don't spend time reading the how much protein and how much potassium. That's pretty much BS, frankly. Those are made up numbers. No, they are for the most part.
Really?
Uh, yeah, they have to do that legally, and it gives you a bit of a guideline in some ways, but real food cannot be measured precise. I mean, think about it. Two potatoes that are actually grown in the ground, or two
Mhm,
carrots, if they're grown in two different kinds of soil by two different kinds of farmers with two different kinds of, one used poison, one didn't. So these are
mhm.
different foods, and they will have different nutritional profiles. So, and it also just, I don't think it helps you a lot to look at what I want you to look at is the ingredients.
Okay.
Read the ingredients. And if you're a parent, read them out loud to your kids, to your husband, to your sister. Read them. If you have any trouble pronouncing them, don't eat it. Okay.
Yep.
If you don't know what it is, don't eat it. Real food, you know what it is. You know it's not potassium glutamate, that's not real food. That's
Got you.
chemical.
I'm so glad I
So
asked because that makes so much sense. It just makes too much sense. This is too easy. If you can't understand it,
sorry,
don't eat it.
that's grandma's job to just make sense. That's what I do. Um, I'm not a biochemist. I'm not a registered dietitian. I'm just a woman who's lived a long time, had a bunch of kids, did a lot of things wrong. But I'm still here and I'm still standing, and I can still clean up pretty nice and have a good time. That's
Right.
what I want for everybody. And I have to laugh, Derick, and you see them too. These guys, 25, 30 years old, they've got shows about longevity, right? And they come out in their tight t-shirt with their pecs hanging out and, their biceps, talking about how to live longer, and I want to scream. It's come back when you're in your 70s, dude.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
you
That was
see how
great
your
point.
long. And plus, you're spending all your time in the gym, so your wife may kill you anyway, and you won't live that long.
Oh, that is hilarious. I love that. This is too much wisdom in this tonight. This is just too much wisdom. I love this.
Well, it's just order, isn't it? But the thing that I want to tell you, said, okay, what do we want to tell everybody to do now? Okay, read the label, read the ingredients. That's quit sugar now. Okay, I'm not saying cut down. I'm saying,
I'm not saying cut down.
Because if you don't understand, there's so much data, it's science-based. Sugar is actually more addictive, according to studies, than heroin. And
Wow.
if I said to you, well, I've got a heroin habit, but I'm cutting down, what would you say to me?
Yeah, that's still not good in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, just quit. And you will have a week or 2 or 3 where you go, but I want my, but you will realize that it is habit, and it is a matter of changing your habit and making a decision that it's worth doing, those mental processes, and looking at the people who in their 60s and 70s and 80s are still eating crap, and looking at the people who aren't, and deciding whether you want to be like the ones who are still eating their crap or the ones who aren't.
Right. And you know what a lot of
And
people say? A lot of people
what?
say, "Oh, well, I don't eat sugar anymore. I use the pink packet or the blue packet or the yellow packet, the Splenda or saccharin." And that goes back to what you said about not being able to pronounce it.
Right. Stop right there, because an important part of doing this, and the reason I felt I needed to put this book out, Brownies for Breakfast, is because you can now sweeten with natural foods that do a great job sweetening. They're not artificial sweeteners. They're good natural sweeteners that don't have any calories, don't give you a blood glucose kickback. They're great. And one that I recommend, which has a funny name, and I know after what I just said, but this cellulose is a natural sugar that cooks well, tastes great, isn't dreadfully expensive, and it's real food. There's a chicory root, same thing. Monk fruit, same thing. And I give you, if you sign up on my website, I'll send you free what's in the book. And you have the book, so you already have this stuff. But I'm happy to send it to everybody. Oh, thank you so
Okay.
much.
Absolutely.
Because this is information that everybody should have. People are being told all the time that artificial sweeteners are bad, and that the studies about artificial sweeteners, SBS. I mean, it's meant to keep you eating sugar. So there are good alternative sweeteners that are not artificial sweeteners that aren't bad. And so my brownies, for example, are made with,
Wait a
I
minute,
use it.
time out. Are these the badass grandma brownies? Are these the
Oh, honey,
badass
yes.
brownies? Okay.
These are the
I just want
ones.
to check which ones you're talking about.
Yeah, these are the ones.
Okay.
And they're so easy to make. Even Derick could make them. And I will be checking back with him to make sure he does make them.
I am going to make some.
You bet. And so they're made with pumpkin right out of the can, and nut butter right out of the jar, cocoa right out of the can, real cocoa, real food, no sugar or anything, just the cocoa beans ground up. I think it's got vanilla, a little bit of salt. What else? Oh, eggs. And we'll
Okay.
talk about eggs, or egg substitute. If you're vegan, you can use all these recipes. You'll just do a couple of little adaptations that work fine. What are we forgetting? Nut butter,
No,
cocoa.
don't tell them all the ingredients. Make them buy the book. Don't tell them everything. You got to leave
Well,
some
they'll need
ingredients.
pictures and everything, and the amounts of stuff. But the point is that you'll make these brownies and eat them and go, wow, these are the best. These are the best brownies I've ever had.
Page
They are
59.
not.
Mimi's Badass Brownies. Page
There you go.
59.
They're not some kind of little wimpy, pretend brownie. They're fat. They're the real thing, and that is true of just going to real food. You're going to go, wow, this is, I'm not missing out on anything. You get more color, more texture, more fragrance, everything. It's just that we've been eating the sad American diet, the standard American diet, which is
Mhm.
meat all the time and white bread all the time. And we're sick as a result. So you need to stop doing that
Right.
and start eating whole food, real food all the time.
Okay, so I didn't forget about the eggs, but you said something else that I wanted to ask you about earlier when you were talking about it. What about, you said canned pumpkins. So what about canned foods or canned vegetables? Like, are they okay?
Okay, what have we already learned here, Derick, about
You said
anything?
if you read the ingredients and you cannot
The
pronounce it,
label.
the
That's right.
label,
And it's one ingredient and it's pumpkin, you're cool. You're good, right? One
but don't they have
ingredient.
preservatives in them because they're in a can?
I wish I had a can right here. And next time, I'll have some stuff here and we can read the
All right.
ingredients. Great
Okay.
idea. And you will go to the store now. And by the way, I don't stop. Where I shop for groceries, are you
Okay.
going to ask me? Yeah,
Whole
Trader
Foods.
Joe's.
Oh, Trader Joe's.
No,
Okay.
Trader Joe's. And farmers markets. And there are a lot of CSAs now, community service agriculture, that will deliver to your door boxes of real food that have been grown by real people. So if you've got that in your neighborhood, do that. It's a great way to get the best food.
Okay.
And what I'm always preaching is eat what you have, figure out how to use what's in the fridge to
Mhm.
make a great meal. And I don't like to cook particularly. I mean, I would much rather have some beautiful waiter named Lars, putting beautiful things in front of me that I don't have to worry about. Yeah, we'd all like that, right? Not
Right.
gonna happen. So somebody needs to go in the kitchen and do this. Could be you or Kobe.
Okay.
And the good news in the book is it's easy, it's fun, and in your case particularly, it can create a social life for you. You're going to meet nice people.
I like
Yeah.
nice people.
Yes. And
All
those
right, so tell
people
us
are
about eggs. What about these eggs?
okay. Eggs are not just eggs. Eggs need to come from happy, well-adjusted chickens who eat what they should be eating, not chickens raised in a crate by bad farmers who don't do anything about their pollution, who don't care about their chickens. Good farmers who let their chickens run to eat bugs and slugs and grass and good things. And you know the difference because it will say, of course, cage free,
Mhm.
um, all those things. But when you crack that egg open, it's a deep, almost orange yellow. It's
Right.
not yellow. And that deep orange color is nutrition. And eggs are such a good balance of fat, healthy fat, and proteins and vitamins and minerals too, but only if they're, I mean, I like to say, I want to know the chicken. I want to know her name and I want to know the farmer's name. And I literally do because I live in the country. So I have, Um, but it's good if you know always, if you know where your food is coming from. Particularly, I do eat meat. I have eaten vegetarian. I spent one whole year being a vegan to experiment with my numbers and see how that went. Went great.
Okay.
But some vegans are not really healthy because they eat sugar and processed flour and all this crap.
Mm,
If you're going to be vegan, I want you to be a healthy vegan. And it's possible, but it's a little more work. Talk about that in the book.
okay.
Okay.
And it's in this book or one of your other books?
There's some in this book, and I will send out stuff on my mailing thing. I don't do it as often as I should
Okay.
because it's hard.
Okay. Because
And
I'm not a vegan, but I do know a couple vegans, so maybe I'll have to buy them that book for their birthday.
maybe you will. Yes, absolutely. Because vegans, more than other people, need to really pay attention to always nourishing themselves with everything that they eat. Because most of us, even if we're eating crappy food, we're also getting a fair amount of protein and,
Mhm.
some more variety of foods. But by not eating animal foods, and I laud you, and it can be a very healthy way to go, but you have to be meticulous about nourishing yourself well, completely, all the time. No white flour, no white rice, not good. Um, no sugar, needless to say.
Okay.
Uh, and I talk about dairy a lot because so many people are have trouble with dairy, are allergic to dairy. So and now I'm seeing a lot of stuff written about, well, those fairy things are no good. No, they're good. If you need to go the totally plant-based route, and I call my way of eating plant-based,
Okay.
because it's more plants than anything. But if you're vegan, you're entirely plant-based with no exceptions. Um, and so then you will be eating some of these dairy substitutes. They're fine. Some of them are pretty high in protein. Um, I talk to people sometimes who can't eat nuts either, and that's a problem because
Yeah.
nuts are typically the biggest source of protein for plant-based eaters,
Mhm.
and they're wonderful. And I have tons of recipes in the book for
So what do you think
nut-based.
about, like what about, like, almond milk and soy milk and cashew milk? I mean,
It,
what do you think
it's
about those?
except what do we know now about those things that come in
We
a
have to read
box?
we have to read the label and the ingredients, and if we can't pronounce it, we shouldn't drink it.
And read it aloud. Yes. So same for that too. If it says almonds and butter, okay, sounds pretty good to me. Um, cashews and water, good. But the next time you pick up a jar of peanut butter and read it, and the first ingredient or second ingredient is cane sugar,
Mm. Now, what was the name of the sugar again that you said? The natural did you say a
gross.
Aero? I'm sorry, say it
A
again.
L L Allulose. Allulose.
Allulose, okay.
Allulose is my current favorite. But I've tried a ton and, tested these recipes with a lot of them and have people helping me test recipes. Always looking for people willing to make stuff and let me know how it went. Because if we can make it easier, if you have a good tip on, gee, I did this. For example, the brownie recipe in the book calls to be baked for at 350 degrees. And
Mhm.
I have since come to find out that the darling little store and cafe up the road from me, Lamar store, the chef there started baking them at 300 degrees accidentally, and they came
Uh-huh.
out better. They came out gooier. So if
Really?
you like your brownies gooey, give them at 300.
There you go. Wow. Well, that's all amazing information. So let me ask you this question. Have you always been you look extremely fit. Have you always been fit? I mean, even when you were diagnosed, were you fit when you were diagnosed? And so because some people think, you know, that if they're thin and they look thin and they're fit, that they're doing everything right, but that may not necessarily be the case.
I looked fabulous. So I want you all to know that I've had many people say to me, well, you don't worry about it. Look at you're not overweight. It
Mhm.
it doesn't necessarily correlate. Now, we all do know that the more weight you gain beyond what is a sort of correct weight for you to be, or BMI, they're even questioning that now. Sometimes your numbers will go bad with the weight gain. And I have seen in my own life when I was 15 or 20 pounds overweight and I got the weight off, my numbers improved.
Okay.
So there is and can be a tight correlation between weight and blood glucose. So I'm never going to say to someone, don't pay attention. Is it? No, you need to pay attention. But in my case, I wasn't even enough overweight that people would point it out to me. I mean, I
Right.
look normal to
Okay.
people. Uh, I also am of an age, I graduated from high school in 1964, right before the dawn of time. But particularly for women in those days, particularly in LA where I was, being thin was the most important thing of all for women.
Of
Didn't
course.
matter if you were well educated or a great musician or anything, you had to be thin. That was the thing. So hopefully we've kind of gotten over a lot of that. But the truth of the matter is that there is a correlation between weight gain and type 2 diabetes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So last question. I can drink my coffee black. I can drink it with black and cream. I can drink it with black cream and sugar. It doesn't matter to me. But most people have a certain way they like their coffee. So the question is allulose, can you put that in your coffee? And if not, what can people put in their coffee?
But what I recommend is stop drinking crappy coffee. Start
Oh,
drinking really good coffee
okay.
because it's delicious black. If it's not delicious black, you need to go to a better coffee. And one
Mm.
of the reasons that the chains like Starbucks, they make the, and I went to a class, Derick, one time with a girlfriend who had this property. We thought, oh, it'd be a great cafe. Let's turn it into a cafe. So we went up to San Francisco to take this class in opening a cafe, having a coffee business. And the first thing he said was, you have to understand, you're not going to be in the coffee business. You're going to be in the milk and sugar business.
Facts.
So what I recommend is, yeah, drink better coffee, drink it black, find out how to get it just the way you want it. In my case, it's strong and medium roast. And I have coffee places where I can get fabulous, including Trader Joe's, by the way. They sell very good coffee.
I knew you were going to say
Um,
that.
yeah, because I like it cheap too. I don't want to pay more than I have to.
Right.
So, and another thing I highly recommend, if you haven't explored what great teas do for your life. And what I'm drinking here is basil tea, leaf tea that I brew just simply with water and then pour through a strainer. Another one that is excellent is hibiscus tea. It is
I've heard of
so
hibiscus.
lovely with nothing added, no sugar, no nothing, no lemon, just so try hibiscus tea or holy basil tea and then read about the studies on how beneficial they are for your health.
I will. I make that
So
commitment. I'm going to do it.
So yeah, no more crap for you.
Nope. I'm done with
And
crap.
what I often tell people, Derick, is, you're probably much better to your beloved little kitty cat or your Labrador retriever, looking at what you're feeding them, going out and finding the best food for them and making
Mhm.
sure they're getting all their protein and all their vitamins. Do you do that for yourself?
Right. It's great. That's a
Do
great
you do
point.
that for your kids? Do you want to do that? Yeah. Well, how about you? And how about setting an example for your kids, nieces, nephews, students, everybody, when they see how beautiful you are and how
Mhm.
healthy you are and what you do to get there, you don't think they're going to pay attention?
Yeah, that's true, and they're learning from you.
And if you are at the steering wheel of your car, chomping on a Whataburger, telling your kids to stop eating that crap, does that work? I don't think
Never,
so. No, because it's not
never.
what you say, it's what you do, right?
All right, glam grandma,
Okay.
I'm listening. I'm listening.
Okay, well, I hope is that all the time we get? Are we done?
What? No, we can go as long as you want. You got some other amazing things to share?
I have a billion things to share, but I want you to always ask me what's on your mind, you know? What are you
Well,
thinking about?
I went to the doctor and on Monday, and they told me that I was getting close to maybe needing some stuff for high blood pressure. So I said, "How much time are you going to give me to clean up, whatever I think it is or should be?" And so I am all ears to. I've already listened and learned some adjustments I need to make, but I'm really, I was mostly concerned, about a lot of the people in my community and my network that they think it's too expensive to eat right. They think it's too much trouble to eat right. But, it's expensive to be on meds. It's expensive to need to medicate and to have to go to the doctor and have somebody else facilitate your health.
And I've been checking it out, and the cost now of fast food or the cost of one cocktail out, I
Oh,
can make a meal for you that would be to die for. We could there's a recipe in the book called Genius Soup, and I have never put a dollar value on it, but you make it literally with the crud that's left over in your fridge. You buy some kale at the store and you think, I'm going to eat this. And then you don't, and you put it in the crisper and you have some spinach and it's kind of getting wilty and all that stuff and you have maybe some celery and a carrot or two. You can take that and make it into a bucket of the most wonderful soup for practically nothing, and it
wow.
means you're not creating waste, you're not throwing stuff away, and then you have a meal every night of the week. All you do is one night you put a little feta cheese in it and maybe some olives, and you've made yourself a Greek soup, and then the next night you put some tortilla chips, and yes, I did say tortilla chips. Okay, should be 2, maybe 3 ingredients. There are good
Okay.
ones. Okay, you put some of those in, you put some cheese in it, put some beans in it. Now you've got a tortilla soup to die, just wonderful for practically
Practically
nothing.
nothing. Okay, so
Right.
tell me about
Let's
this
talk
popcorn.
about
Tell me about the
brownies.
popcorn for the gods. I want to know popcorn for the gods. That's what I want to know about.
I will, but the brownies, guess how much my brownies cost to make? Okay,
Like, if you bought everything,
how much do you pay for a brownie in Starbucks?
oh God, I'm gonna guess and say $4,
Or 5? Mhm.
four or
That's right.
$5. Yeah. Okay, I was close.
Using nothing but the best ingredients, estimating high, 50 cents a piece.
Wow.
So do not whine to me. Uh, it is too expensive to eat healthy because it's just not true. Now, it is true that we have a problem in this country with food deserts, with some communities being way underserved with fresh
Mhm.
foods. True. Get active, get a neighborhood garden going, reclaim some urban land. There's so much good happening out there around that. Because if you don't grow it, it's not real food. If it's not coming in the ground, or
Yep. So what
or
do you think
won't.
about Whole Foods? We don't have a Trader Joe's. I have to It's not that far. It's probably 45 minutes up in Ann Arbor, Michigan. But we don't have a Trader Joe's where I live, but we have Whole Foods. What do you think about Whole Foods?
In a pinch, there's some stuff like the allulose, but you can get a lot of good stuff online now. Thrive Market, uh, is it thrivemarket.com? Maybe we can put that in the show notes. That's a
Okay.
place that
Well,
I get some good things. I get things like hemp seeds, great protein, vegan. You can put them on top of stuff. You can put them in the brownies. Chia seeds, nuts, a lot of good grocery items you can just have delivered to your door. Not too costly. They have special prices. I found it really very affordable. So
okay.
there are strategies now that we can use to get around the Whole Foods price point.
So you
If you
have
can,
other things. You have other things in here. You have smoothies in here. You have a whole bunch of soups in here. I mean, you have desserts other than just the brownies in here. You have a lot of recipes in the book. And I really suggested. My son said, "Well, it's just not a cookbook, Dad. She's written a lot of information in here too." And I said, and he's 26 and he's paying attention. So I think everybody should grab this book. And maybe I'll take not maybe, but I'll take a look at it and figure out like what I can get. And I thought you were saying you don't um stock up a lot. Were you saying that, or did I misinterpret what you were saying?
I have to phone off if I can figure out how.
Oh, your phone's ringing. I didn't even hear it.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. Next time I'll just let it ring. I don't stock up, I said.
No, I maybe I intuited it, or I thought you were going that direction right before you were talking about Trader Joe's earlier. But I guess my point is that
I do stock up.
okay. So I can go to Trader Joe's
Absolutely.
and stock up and have it here and maybe go once a month and just stock up and I'll be okay.
You will. And because I live out in the country, oh, she's calling again. So I live out in the country, Derek. So I have quite a drive to go to a Trader Joe's or another big market. And we can't just jump in the car and go and get stuff. But that's a fine way to run your kitchen. It's less expensive because you really think about it and you're strategic.
That's annoying you, isn't it?
Well, it's as long as it's not annoying you.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
so religious about getting the phone out of here. Sorry. But
That's okay.
one of the problems that I think people have is the ability to just run down the street or jump in their car and go get crappy food.
Mm,
There is no chain food in my little town. I have to make a real effort if I want to go to a McDonald's or anything like that.
okay.
Um, and so we always go and stock up. And I say in the strategy that I give you, I have one 2-page spread that I think it's 12 points. Here's how you do it. And you never go anywhere hungry. You always have food with you. In my car, I carry a protein bar or two that are made out of acceptable ingredients, good whole ingredients that can get me through a day. I carry nuts. I carry salted almonds with me because it's when you find yourself hungry in the wrong, all of a sudden you think, I got to eat something. I got to have it now before I do this or that or the other thing. And I say, never show up on an empty stomach, even to a party. Don't do that.
It's a good idea.
Especially if you have high blood pressure or are threatened with high blood pressure or diabetes. These are a couple of basic strategies that will take away your excuses for
Mhm.
why you went awry. Well, I was starving and well, it was a wedding, no, sorry. That doesn't work on grandma here.
That's a
Um,
great idea. That is a really good preventive maintenance idea, and I usually do that and have done it for a very long time because I used to go to a lot of banquets and a lot of events, and instead of eating all those finger foods that were just, not healthy, I'd eat before I'd go, and then that way I wouldn't be hungry, and then, that way I wouldn't, succumb to it. What do you think about fasting?
I'm glad you asked. It's important. And it is really effective when it comes to controlling diabetes. We have lots of science about it now. And what happens is when you leave 16 to 18 hours between meals, and people are going, wait a minute, what? And we'll do the math in a minute.
Hmm.
Your body can do a process called autophagy, which is one of my new favorite words, autophagy, which means literally eating oneself. What happens is your cells are kicked into a process where they eliminate they eliminate the trash, they take out the trash, they let all of this stuff get recycled, literally. They
Hmm.
recycle cell bits, and then the waste is able to go into your very effective human waste system
Okay.
and go. And if you don't leave 16 to 18 hours between meals frequently, it's like the freeway system. Those guys with the shovels and the stuff, and they're by them, but there's so much traffic, they can't get out there until 2 in the morning when there's no traffic. Then they can get out there to clean. And just think about your innards that way. So
Okay.
if you eat your last meal at 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and then you don't eat the next day until 10, 11, 12, you're good. So however that works in your life, if you absolutely have to eat with your family at 6 or at 7, that makes it a little tighter. So that means you're going to skip breakfast altogether, which, by the way, is just fine. We've been
Yeah. I.
told all these years, right?
Yep.
You don't
Right.
eat breakfast. No, especially if it's a bagel with crap on it and a coffee with crap in it. No, don't do it. Um, so so fasting, we can just kind of rename it if it sounds scary, but it is a very, very effective way to improve your health. And I think it's good mentally too, because so many of us, myself included, we're always hungry and wanting to eat all the
Hmm.
time. Once you prove to yourself that you can, once you're past that initial hunger, you go, no, I can do this. I can do this. You get over it. You have some water. You walk somewhere. You do something. You distract yourself.
You
And all of a
distract
sudden,
yourself.
yes. And all of a sudden it's noon. And you go, oh, dang, yeah, I'm fine. I haven't had anything since yesterday at 4 or 5. I'm fine. And you'll find your numbers improve, your blood glucose, your blood pressure, all those things are likely to respond well to that. And so you have to do it in a way that works in your life, that works for you.
Right.
Some people, the sort of longevity bros out there are talking about 1 meal a day. That's all I eat. Well, fine. If that works for you, fine. That's perfectly healthy. In my case, I tend to do more like 2 meals a day.
Okay.
And also, I'm of an age where we eat less.
Mm.
I'm relatively small and I'm older than dirt. So I don't have to eat a whole lot, which is great. It's a relief in some ways. But so 2 meals a day. I eat a late breakfast and an early supper. If we're going out to eat, we're the first ones in the restaurant. We're those people
Okay.
at 5 at night. But that's right. There's not a big
That's
crowd.
good. I love it. That's a great answer. I've been fasting, not fasting. I've been eating. See, my problem is, and I think I'm gonna change it up because I'll eat at like 6 p.m., but then I'll eat again at like 8 p.m. And then I won't eat again till 6 the next day. So I've consuming too many calories, between 6 and 8. And I probably should do, like you said, maybe I should eat at 1 and 6 and then be done for the day.
Why, Derek? Because another thing that is closely related to food, but people don't always connect sleep with food. And you cannot sleep well if you're not eating well. And you can't eat well if you're not sleeping well. It works
Hmm.
both ways. So one of the key things you can do to improve your sleep is to not eat for 3 or 4 hours at least before you turn in.
Okay.
And most of us have to be up and at 'em at a decent hour in the morning.
Right.
Uh, and so when you look at your chart. You go, how many hours of sleep can I get between? You need to hit the sack, dude. And
Right.
you need to also, this, it's good to sleep with a heavy blanket if you can. It's good to sleep in a cold or cool room. It's
Hmm.
good to sleep with no electronic signals around you anywhere. No little lights, no little beeps or boops, nothing. Clear that out. So dark, cold, quiet.
Now, what's the
And
heavy blanket? What's the heavy blanket? I never heard the heavy blanket part.
okay, well, it's one of those things that there's some science behind it. And it has to do, when you think about it, babies, being hugged and held and
Hmm.
wrapped, swaddled tightly. Humans, animals too, we respond really well. We relax when we're held tightly. And
Okay.
so this heavy blanket is just sort of king something that you get a good human response from. I tried it. It happened for me a little bit by accident because I had this comforter made, this duvet made out of material that was kind of too heavy, and I never used it. And then I put it on my bed, and I went, "Wait, this is fantastic! It feels so good." So try it. And I know
Oh
they
well.
sell weighted blankets now, and you may have some
Yeah.
that you can just use instead. Um, or have extremely large pets on I don't know if that works the same or not. But yeah, there's some science behind it, and it
Okay.
does.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much. Well, we have Miss Lynne Bowman, brownies for breakfast. She has been amazing, and I hope that all of you check out her website. It is https or www Lynne with Lynne Bowman.com. Check her out. Make sure you like and subscribe this episode. We're glad that you spent some time with us. You know what? Reach out to Lynne and let her know how you like your brownies at 350 degrees. I'm going to try it. My sister's coming to town. We're going to hang
Good.
out. Believe it or not, my sister's an amazing cook. She just cooks all that creamy stuff, like a lot of it. So when she comes to town, I'm going to take her
Yeah,
to Trader Joe's. Huh?
I can't wait to hear what she thinks about all
Oh,
this. And
yeah.
you're
Well,
going
we
to
got to
have me
try it
back
because
there.
she loves the creamy thing. She's typically, your typical Black woman who likes to cook. She doesn't fry anymore, but she cooks all that exotic stuff. So I'm going to take her to Trader Joe's up in Monroe, Michigan, and we're gonna look at the cookbook. We're gonna make our list of ingredients and things that we want to buy. We're gonna go up there. I'm gonna stock up on some things, and then I'm gonna let you know in the next 2 weeks how it all worked out.
Thank you. We all love creamy things, and I want her especially. I mean, anytime it's like comfort food, there's a recipe for mac and cheese in the book.
Wow.
Mac and cheese
What
is
do you
super
use for the
easy.
noodles?
I use brown rice noodles that are fantastic.
Okay.
And the cream is made out of cauliflower and some stuff. So I want to know what she thinks.
We're going to tell you. We're going to hit you up. We might even message you while while she's here after she makes
Please.
it. She loves to cook. She actually even had a little restaurant for about 5 or 6 years. So she's big on the cooking. I'm going to take her to Trader Joe's because my refrigerator stays pretty empty because that way I don't eat junk. Since I live alone, my cabinets are empty and I don't have any junk in there. But I'm going to go to Trader Joe's and buy some good stuff based on what you've been sharing. And I promise we'll reach out. I promise, just like I promised I'd buy this book and make sure I had it
And,
for our interview.
and you're making me realize too, we haven't talked about the fact that eating this way is not just good for you and your friends, it's good for the earth.
It's
You're
good for the earth.
wasting less, you're causing less pollution. So it's win-win-win-win.
Win, win, win. I
And
love that. I love that.
yeah,
Win, win, win. Everybody wins. This is a good spot. That doesn't happen often, but we'll take it in
and
this
it's
circumstance.
yeah. So okay, please keep in touch. Let me know how it's going.
I promise I will. I'll talk to you very soon. And thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing all of your knowledge. And not all your knowledge. I know you have way more. So we're gonna have you back again.
I've got stories, you know that.
I do know you told me a few. All right, my dear. Talk to you soon. Be well. Bye, Vigo.
He's asleep.
Okay. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.